Beyond the Veil of Stone, what ancient quantum messages did Emperor Ashoka encode for future souls? In the sacred silence between worlds, where ancient consciousness meets quantum possibility, a profound mystery whispers through the corridors of time. 3,000 years ago, an emperor walked between dimensions, leaving encoded messages not just for his earthly subjects, but for souls yet to incarnate across the cosmic spiral. These were not mere political proclamations carved in stone. They were vibrational transmissions, quantum signatures embedded in crystalline matrices, designed to activate consciousness across multiple timelines. Tonight we journey beyond the veil of ordinary history to decode the mystical architecture of Emperor Ashoka's interdimensional communications, where each carved symbol holds keys to parallel realities and each pillar stands as a beacon between worlds. The trilingual portal, decoding messages across dimensional frequencies. Ancient sages understood that language itself carries vibrational codes, each script resonating with specific dimensional frequencies. When Ashoka inscribed his edicts in Prakrit, Greek and Aramaic, he was not merely accommodating diverse populations, he was creating a trilingual portal system, a quantum communication network spanning multiple reality matrices. 714. The Brahmi script, flowing like cosmic serpents across stone surfaces, carried the earth frequency vibrations necessary to anchor spiritual concepts in the physical realm. Each character was a sacred geometry, a mandala compressed into linear form, designed to resonate with the crystalline structures embedded within human consciousness. The ancient texts reveal that these inscriptions were written in the language of the common people. 5. Yet this simplicity masked a profound esoteric truth. Universal consciousness speaks through the simplest forms, penetrating directly to the soul's core frequency. The Greek inscriptions found in the northwestern territories, particularly the mystical Kandahar edicts, operated on entirely different vibrational planes. 11. Greek, with its mathematical precision and philosophical resonance, served as a bridge between the material and mental dimensions. When Ashoka's scribes carved Greek letters into Afghan stone, they were creating interdimensional anchors, allowing Mediterranean consciousness streams to merge with Vedic wisdom currents. This was conscious integration of parallel cultural matrices, a recognition that truth flows through multiple channels simultaneously. The Aramaic script, discovered in the same regions, completes this trilingual trinity. Aramaic, the language of mystics and hidden teachings, vibrated at frequencies that could penetrate the veils between seen and unseen worlds. Each Aramaic inscription functioned as a quantum entanglement device, linking the Mauryan Empire's energy grid with Middle Eastern ley lines and consciousness networks that stretched from the Tigris to the Indus. This linguistic trinity reveals Ashoka's understanding of what quantum physicists now call the observer effect. Consciousness shapes reality through the very act of observation and interpretation. By encoding the same vibrational truths in 3 different linguistic frequencies, Ashoka ensured that his dharmic transmissions could be received and integrated by consciousness operating across various dimensional bandwidths. The messages were simultaneously universal and specifically tuned, like cosmic radio signals broadcast on multiple frequencies to reach listeners across the galactic spectrum. The Pillar Network, quantum anchors in Earth's crystalline grid. The 20 surviving pillars of Ashoka form more than architectural monuments, they constitute nodes in a vast consciousness amplification network, a prehistoric internet of stone designed to maintain spiritual coherence across dimensional boundaries. Each pillar, weighing 50 tons and reaching toward the celestial realms, functions as a massive crystalline antenna, capable of receiving, storing, and transmitting vibrational information across time-space matrices. Ancient wisdom keepers understood that specific geographical locations serve as natural convergence points for Earth's electromagnetic grid lines. The pillars were strategically positioned at these power spots, Buddhist monasteries, pilgrimage sites, and locations marking significant events in the Buddha's incarnation journey. 110. This placement was no mere coincidence. It represents sophisticated understanding of planetary energy systems that modern science is only beginning to rediscover. The sandstone composition of these pillars reveals deeper mysteries. Quarried from Chunar and Mathura, these stones were selected not merely for their workability, but for their unique crystalline properties. 15. Sandstone, with its compressed quartz crystal matrices, naturally stores and amplifies vibrational frequencies when shaped into perfect cylindrical forms and polished to the legendary Mauryan shine. These pillars became ideal vessels for containing and broadcasting consciousness-altering frequencies across vast distances. The animal capitals crowning each pillar, lions, bulls, and other sacred beings, served as specific vibrational amplifiers. 15. The lion capital, most famously preserved at Sarnath, operates as a courage frequency generator, broadcasting the Buddha's Lion Clan energy signature across the quantum field. Lions in mystical traditions represent the solar plexus chakra's transformative fire, the alchemical force that transmutes base consciousness into golden awareness. When Ashoka crowned his pillars with lion forms, he was creating solar energy collectors, drawing down cosmic fire to illuminate earthbound consciousness. The inverted lotus base beneath each animal capital represents the root chakra's grounding force, anchoring celestial energies in terrestrial crystalline structures. This lotus symbolism carries profound quantum implications. Just as a lotus emerges pristine from muddy waters, consciousness emerges unblemished from the apparent chaos of material existence. 15. Each pillar thus became a vertical axis mundi, a cosmic elevator connecting underworld, middle world, and upper world consciousness streams. The Dharma transmission, encoding universal laws in stone memory. When Ashoka spoke of Dhamma Thab, pillars of Dharma, he was referencing something far more profound than moral guidelines. Dharma, in its deepest esoteric sense, represents the quantum laws governing consciousness evolution across multiple dimensional planes. Each edict carved into stone became a crystallized teaching transmission, a way of encoding universal principles into the Earth's mineral memory banks for future soul retrieval. The edicts reveal Ashoka's transformation from a conquest-based ruler to a Dharma-based consciousness facilitator. 23. This metamorphosis mirrors the classic alchemical process, the dissolution of ego-driven awareness followed by reconstitution at higher vibrational frequencies. His famous remorse over the Kalinga War represents more than political regret. It signifies a quantum leap in consciousness, a sudden recognition of the interconnectedness of all sentient beings across dimensional boundaries. The prohibition against animal sacrifice encoded in the Pillar Edicts carries profound metaphysical implications. 58. On surface levels, these appear as compassionate reforms, but deeper analysis reveals sophisticated understanding of how violence disrupts planetary consciousness grids. When living beings are harmed, their life force creates disturbance patterns in the quantum field, generating what mystics call karmic static that interferes with higher dimensional communications. By protecting animals, Ashoka was maintaining the clarity of Earth's consciousness reception systems. The specific animals protected: parrots, wild geese, tortoises, rhinoceros were chosen for their unique roles as consciousness carriers. Parrots, with their ability to mirror sounds, represent the throat chakra's power to manifest reality through sacred speech. Wild geese, with their migratory patterns, embody the soul's journey between incarnations. Tortoises, with their longevity and earth connection, serve as wisdom keepers linking past and future consciousness streams. Each protected species functioned as a living antenna in Ashoka's consciousness preservation network. The edicts addressing his Mahamatas, ministers, reveal another layer of this dharmic transmission system. These officials were not merely administrative functionaries but consciousness coordinators, trained to perceive and respond to the subtle energy fluctuations affecting different regions of the empire. Their role involved maintaining harmonic resonance between the central dharmic transmission source, Ashoka's consciousness, and the various receptor nodes, local communities, throughout the network. The Buddhist integration, consciousness technology of the awakened mind. The intimate connection between Ashoka's edicts and Buddhist monastery locations reveals sophisticated understanding of consciousness technology developed by awakened minds. Buddhist monasteries were not simply religious communities but research centers for exploring the quantum mechanics of consciousness. Places where trained practitioners could access non-ordinary states of awareness and download information from higher dimensional source fields. The placement of pillars at sites associated with the Buddha's life, particularly the Lumbini pillar marking his birth location, creates a consciousness constellation, a sacred geometry network encoding the Buddha's incarnation pattern into Earth's crystalline memory 10. This represents recognition that certain souls carry specific frequency signatures capable of upgrading planetary consciousness systems. By marking these locations with stone monuments, Ashoka was creating permanent access points to the Buddha's consciousness field, allowing future generations to tap into this transformative energy stream. The minor pillar edicts addressed specifically to the Sangha, monastic community, function as technical manuals for consciousness practitioners. These inscriptions contain encoded instructions for maintaining group coherence, preventing schism, consciousness fragmentation, and preserving the integrity of dharmic transmissions across generational boundaries. The famous Schism Edict represents early understanding of how negative thought patterns can create quantum entanglement with destructive frequencies, disrupting entire consciousness networks. The Buddhist emphasis on nonviolence, compassion, and mindfulness that permeates the edicts reflects sophisticated understanding of how consciousness affects reality at quantum levels. Each thought, emotion, and intention creates ripple effects in the morphic field, influencing the probability patterns that determine which potential futures manifest. By promoting positive mental states through his edicts, Ashoka was essentially programming the collective unconscious to generate more harmonious reality matrices. The integration of Buddhist philosophy with imperial governance represents a revolutionary experiment in applied consciousness technology. Traditional rulers maintained power through fear and force, but Ashoka pioneered governance through vibrational alignment, using dharmic principles to create resonance between ruler and ruled. This approach recognizes that true authority comes not from external control but from consciousness coherence, the ability to maintain stable, high-frequency awareness that naturally attracts and organizes lower-frequency systems. The three-audience transmission, communicating across time-space dimensions. Ancient texts reveal that Ashoka's edicts were designed for three distinct audiences: officials, contemporary subjects, and future generations. This tri-level communication system represents sophisticated understanding of how consciousness operates across multiple temporal dimensions simultaneously. Each audience required different vibrational frequencies and encoding methods to ensure successful transmission and reception of dharmic information. The direct audience of high-ranking administrative officials operated as consciousness relay stations, trained individuals capable of receiving complex dharmic transmissions and translating them into practical governmental policies. These officials functioned as living bridges between Ashoka's enlightened awareness and the everyday consciousness of ordinary citizens. Their role required development of what modern practitioners might call bilingual consciousness, the ability to function simultaneously in mystical and mundane dimensions. The indirect audience of contemporary subjects received dharmic teachings through oral transmission networks, a recognition that spoken word carries vibrational frequencies unavailable to written text. Sound waves, unlike static inscriptions, interact directly with the human energy field, creating immediate resonance patterns that can shift consciousness states in real time. The edict system thus incorporated both stone memory storage and living voice activation, creating a multimedia consciousness distribution network. The future audience represents the most sophisticated aspect of Ashoka's transmission strategy. By encoding dharmic principles in permanent stone matrices, he was creating time capsule consciousness downloads, ensuring that future generations could access enlightened awareness even if intervening civilizations lost the keys to higher consciousness. This represents understanding that consciousness evolution occurs in cycles, with periodic dark ages requiring preservation systems to maintain spiritual knowledge across temporal gaps. The multilingual nature of these future-directed transmissions reveals even deeper temporal awareness. Ashoka understood that future civilizations might develop different linguistic systems, requiring multiple encoding frequencies to ensure successful decoding. The Greek inscriptions, for example, would later provide crucial links for Alexander's cultural descendants, while Aramaic would maintain connections with Middle Eastern mystical traditions. This linguistic diversity functions as consciousness redundancy, protecting dharmic transmissions against potential communication failures. The hidden geometric patterns, sacred architecture of consciousness. The geographical distribution of Ashoka's pillars and edicts reveals hidden geometric patterns that mirror sacred architectural principles found in Advanced Consciousness Technologies 19. When mapped across the Indian subcontinent, these monuments form constellation-like arrangements that correspond to specific star patterns and planetary alignments, creating terrestrial reflection of celestial energy matrices. The concentration of pillars in the Gangetic Plain represents more than administrative convenience. This region serves as a natural consciousness amplification zone, where the Earth's electromagnetic field creates optimal conditions for maintaining coherent vibrational transmissions across vast distances. The sacred geography of this area, with its confluence of major river systems, generates naturally occurring energy vortexes that ancient wisdom keepers recognized as ideal locations for consciousness technology installations. The scattered placement of rock edicts throughout peripheral regions creates a vast mandala pattern, with the Gangetic concentration serving as the central hub and outlying inscriptions forming protective boundary markers. This arrangement mirrors the structure of traditional meditation mandalas, where central focus points are surrounded by guardian energies that maintain spiritual coherence and protect against disruptive influences. The specific heights of the pillars, averaging between 40 and 50 feet, correspond to resonance frequencies that interact optimally with human consciousness fields 15. This height places the inscribed edicts at eye level for individuals of average stature, while positioning the animal capitals in the zone where they can most effectively broadcast their vibrational signatures across the surrounding landscape. The precise engineering involved represents sophisticated understanding of how physical proportions affect consciousness transmission capabilities. The polished stone surfaces that characterize Mauryan architecture serve purposes beyond aesthetic appeal. These mirror-like finishes create reflection chambers that amplify and focus vibrational energies, similar to the way curved mirrors concentrate light beams. When sunlight strikes these polished surfaces, it generates specific frequency patterns that resonate with the crystalline structures in human consciousness, facilitating reception of the encoded dharmic transmissions, the language of light. Decoding Brahmi's quantum consciousness codes. The Brahmi script used throughout most of Ashoka's edicts contains hidden geometric patterns that function as consciousness activation codes, each character designed to trigger specific neural pathway configurations in the reader's awareness 1214. Unlike modern alphabets optimized for information storage, Brahmi represents a consciousness technology, where visual symbol recognition directly influences brainwave patterns and energy field configurations. The flowing curved nature of Brahmi characters mirrors the natural patterns found in sacred geometry, spirals, waves and interconnected loops that reflect the underlying mathematical structures governing consciousness evolution. When individuals read these inscriptions, their visual cortex processes not just linguistic information but geometric patterns that resonate with the brain's natural frequency generators, creating subtle alterations in consciousness state that facilitate reception of deeper dharmic meanings. The practice of carving these scripts into stone creates permanent vibrational impressions in the crystalline matrix of the monument material. Stone, with its capacity for storing and maintaining frequency patterns across vast time periods, becomes a consciousness library where dharmic teachings remain accessible to any individual capable of achieving resonance with the encoded vibrations. This represents recognition that information can be stored in multiple dimensions simultaneously: linguistic, vibrational, and crystalline. The size and spacing of Brahmi characters in the edicts reflect sophisticated understanding of optimal visual processing frequencies for consciousness alteration. Characters sized for comfortable reading distance create specific eye movement patterns that generate neurological rhythms, conducive to meditative awareness. The spacing between words and lines establishes breathing rhythms that naturally synchronize with the reader's respiratory system, creating physiological conditions that support expanded consciousness states. The preservation of these Brahmi inscriptions across millennia demonstrates the durability of stone-based consciousness storage systems. While organic materials decay and digital systems require constant maintenance, crystalline stone matrices maintain their vibrational integrity indefinitely, ensuring that dharmic transmissions remain accessible across civilizational cycles. This permanence factor represents crucial insurance for consciousness evolution, protecting spiritual knowledge against temporary periods of cultural amnesia. The mystical administration, governing through vibrational alignment. Ashoka's administrative approach, as revealed through his edicts, represents a revolutionary experiment in consciousness-based governance, where political authority derives from vibrational coherence rather than military force. 56. This system recognizes that true leadership involves maintaining resonance with universal dharmic principles, allowing enlightened awareness to organize social structures through natural harmonic attraction rather than external coercion. The emphasis on Dhamma Mahamata's Dharma ministers reveals the creation of a specialized class of consciousness practitioners within the governmental structure. 12. These officials were trained not merely in administrative techniques but in awareness cultivation, developing sensitivity to the subtle energy fluctuations that indicate social harmony or discord. Their role involved reading the vibrational signatures of different regions and populations, adjusting governmental policies to maintain optimal resonance conditions throughout the empire. The edicts addressing animal protection and environmental conservation demonstrate understanding that planetary consciousness systems require careful maintenance to support advanced civilizational development. 58. By prohibiting destructive practices like unnecessary forest burning and animal sacrifice, Ashoka was preserving the natural frequency generators that maintain Earth's consciousness-supporting capabilities. This represents recognition that political stability depends ultimately on environmental consciousness coherence. The regular prisoner releases mentioned in the edicts reflect application of karmic principles to judicial systems, rather than permanent punishment. Ashoka implemented cyclical amnesty programs that allowed for consciousness rehabilitation and social reintegration. This approach recognizes that criminal behavior often results from consciousness fragmentation, requiring healing rather than permanent isolation from social energy networks. The promotion of religious tolerance throughout the edicts reveals sophisticated understanding that consciousness evolution requires diversity of approaches and perspectives. 36. Rather than imposing uniform belief systems, Ashoka created conditions where multiple spiritual traditions could flourish simultaneously, recognizing that different consciousness types require different practices and teachings to achieve optimal development. This diversity serves as evolutionary insurance, ensuring that consciousness advancement continues even if particular traditions experience temporary decline or corruption. May this journey through the quantum mysteries of Ashoka's stone transmissions awaken within you the recognition that you, too, are both receiver and broadcaster in the eternal consciousness network that connects all awakened souls across time and space. The ancient emperor's dharmic codes continue to pulse through the crystalline memory banks of our planet, waiting for those with eyes to see and hearts to receive the eternal teachings that transcend all boundaries of matter, energy, and time. Continue walking the path of cosmic awareness, dear seeker, and remember that each moment offers opportunities to become a living pillar of consciousness, broadcasting light and wisdom to all beings throughout the infinite dimensions of existence.